Coming up next on Public Access TV is Fan to Fan, a half-hour sports interview show with me, your host, Dave Hornfischer. In this episode, we'll talk about Eastern Mass Senior Softball. Stay tuned. This will hit hard and might make you feel young again. Welcome to Fan, a sports interview show whose focus is on all things sports in the Metro West area. I'm your host, Dave Hornfischer, and today I'm pleased to welcome two leaders of the Eastern Mass Senior Softball League, Division Coordinators Don Gould and Steve Bober. Guys, welcome to Fan. As a show whose purpose is to promote the wide variety of locally focused athletic, recreational, and sports activities, the EMASS Senior Softball, to me, illustrates the potential for competitive sports for those of us who have all received our AARP senior discount card. So, as a player myself, I was a rookie at 70. I'm especially pleased to welcome two of our division leaders today to share the EMASS story with our viewers in the hope that some of you might be so inspired to check it out. So, Don and Steve, why don't we begin by having you tell your story about EMASS. How did you get involved and what's it doing for you in your life?
Well, thanks, Dave. I've been a ball player all my life. I stopped playing baseball when my high school coach decided that I wasn't big enough or strong enough. And I've played softball ever since. I played softball in the town where I lived as an adult for about 30 years and started to get tired of the youngsters taking me out at second base. I retired as a public school teacher and was driving down the hill one day and saw a bunch of guys out on the field playing softball, and I pulled into the parking lot, got out of my car, and I was instantly greeted by a whole bunch of very, very welcoming people. I think that, do you play softball? Yes. You want to play? Sure. And I was invited to join what at the time I now realized it was a pickup game. But they made me feel so comfortable, and I recognized right away how much fun they were having and that this was an opportunity for me to have a lot of fun too. I joined EMASS, and I can honestly say that, especially in my retirement, it has become a major focus of my time and energy and the source of quite a few really, really good friendships. It's the community aspect of EMASS that has kept me involved and excited. I love playing the game, but it's the people that make it so much fun.
Well, that's great. Don?
My story mirrors Steve's to some extent. I lived for many, many years about a mile or maybe a mile and a quarter away from the two main fields in Wayland. And after I retired, I would drive past them and I'd see guys playing softball, and I would say to myself, I can do that. I like doing that. For the first few years after my retirement, I was very involved in setting up a nonprofit and raising my last two kids. But there came a time around 2007, 2008, when I went down to the field and asked somebody actually how to sign up. And I started playing softball in one division, which seemed like a lot. At that time, there were only three. The one aspect of playing softball in that year that I didn't like, which has since been changed, was that all the teams remained the same every year. And it seemed to me that the players had inherited their positions by divine right. The manager who I really spoke to put me in right field because no one wanted to play right field, which is not my natural position, and that's where I stayed for the rest of the season. The next year I played in the National Division on Saturday after the then division coordinator suggested I do so, and I've been playing in two divisions ever since. Like Steve, I'm not sure what I would do with my spring and summer if I weren't playing softball. I really, really enjoy it. And I think that it's a truism that I'm echoing Steve here, that we start playing at EMASS because we liked playing softball, and I really have always liked playing softball. But we stay at EMASS and look forward to it primarily because of the friendships and the support and basically just the fun that we have with guys our own age, and playing with them, and making references that only we understand anymore to the Red Sox teams in the 50s. It's a good time.
I think that's a story that almost all the 400 or 500 guys
I think
and
you're right.
several women who were in the league would tell. You hear that a lot. One of the things you mentioned, Steve, was the divisions, and I want to get into that because that's where we really identify and kind of break down the massive guys in it, and based on age and skill level a bit. So we've got 6 divisions in the league, I know, and why don't you take turns kind of going through? We've got a little shot here that kind of summarizes the structure, and so the guys play, I think, almost every day of the week, and
Pretty close.
yeah. So why don't you walk us through? Let's start with with what's new, the Colonial Division, I guess, this year, right?
Okay. Do you want to do the
Sure.
weekend? You do the
I'll do-
Saturdays, I'll do the weekdays.
I'll do the
How's that?
weekend.
Yeah, talk-
The Colonial Division has been renamed and slightly modified.
We have a photo here of
But for years, it has been the highest skill division of the 6 in EMASS. Many of the players, if not all, are in their 50s. 50 is the minimum requirement. Many of them have extensive baseball or softball playing skills. Many of them play in tournaments, and the level of play is very, very high.
we have
It's
a
always
picture
been
of
very
one of their
selective.
players here.
Yep.
In fact, he's our league
Yeah.
commissioner. Or what's his title?
Commissioner,
The commissioner.
Commissioner, yeah. Walker.
he's pitchers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was an
Yeah.
outfielder.
Oh.
He's both.
So I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
Not
yeah.
a
So
problem.
that's the
That's the
Colonial
Colonial.
Division.
I'm
Then
going
the
to-
other weekend division.
Okay, the other weekend division, by chance, happens to be the one that I'm the coordinator for. It's the largest of the divisions. Last year, it had 135 guys. It's comprised of 8 to 9 teams. Again, both the Saturday divisions allow men who play or work during the
We have
week,
a picture of one of that team's.
right, who work during the week, gives them a chance to actually play softball on the weekends. We're a relatively diverse group in terms of skills. We have players over 80 and guys who are in their 50s. But generally speaking, we try to balance the team, and it works out pretty well. It's a relatively popular division.
You have a picture of the team I was on last year, as well as our cameraman, my son-in-law, Andy Signorino, who I talked into playing with us last year. And we were a really very diverse team. We had an Asian manager, a couple of Latino players, and we didn't win, but we had a lot of fun. So let's move on now to the Pacific Division, which you're the coordinator of, right, Steve?
Okay, so there are 4 weekday divisions, which is an increase of 1 from last year. And the reason that we are 4 and where we used to be 3 is growth, that we've got so many new players, and also the talent level, the skill level, the ages vary so widely that it was decided to expand a little bit more. I think it was about seven years ago that we created what I think we have to refer to as an A-League. The Pacific Division is for the younger and more skilled, the guys who still have the skills or some of the skills that they used to have. And that's a 5 and hopefully this year 6-team division. And then our Atlantic Division, which is our kind of all-inclusive, everybody who wants to play can play, that's the division we've divided into 2 parts. So there'll be younger, more highly skilled Atlantic Division on Thursday, and some of the older players or some of the players who want to play in 2 divisions can play on Mondays in the Monday Atlantic. And then on Wednesdays we have the Metro Division. That's the only division in which you must be 65 to register. All of the others you have to be 50. I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a Metro Division player that
There you
actually
go.
shows one of the several women that play in the league batting. And
So there's a division available for anyone over the age of 50 at any skill level, playing any position, and know that if you're interested, you can contact us, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about the website and how to make contact with the program. But we'll find a place for you, and you'll be happy.
If I could piggyback on what Steve said a little bit, reminded me, twice or three times I've invited friends to come down and watch a game, and their reaction has always been the same. They come thinking they're going to watch a bunch of old duffers shuffling around, and the general reaction is, "Gee, you guys can really play," and it's really true. I mean, it's a league. This is not an after-work beer league. This is a league where there's a lot of fun, but it's also seriously competitive.
It is, yeah, and and when we have several different fields that the league plays on. We have a photo here of the probably the best fields that we have in Wayland, and you can and then we have another one of our fields. We use two fields in Medfield. Do all the leagues use the Medfield fields?
Not all.
Not all of them, yeah.
Some, yeah.
I know the Metro did. And then we have the Galvani fields in Framingham, which are right near the State Police Barracks. So, but the league itself, I know, has a lot of special features. I mean, just let's talk about the way the games are structured, the team size, the uniforms, some of the safety features.
It's a highly organized program. And that comes as a surprise to many people who come to watch us because they just assume that it's kind of going to be pickup. We have umpires, we have uniforms, our fields are incredibly well maintained. And we are truly grateful to the city of Framingham and the town of Wayland and the town of Medfield for taking such good care of us and their fields. And all of the teams are formed with the goal that they should be competitively balanced.
We can run through a few of the other photos coming up here that talk about the.
Is that Wayland?
Yeah, that's Wayland, I think. Well, it shows the 5 players in the infield.
Oh, right. Okay.
The thing that hit me when I first started to play was just the safety aspect
Right.
of it, and the extent that like 5 infielders, 4 outfielders, special two first bases, and
2 home plates.
right.
So the goal there is to avoid collisions.
The uniforms.
We are all aware of the fact that we are very fortunate to be able to play a game that we love so much. And because we all share that understanding and that value, we take care of each other. So nobody's going to slide in and take my feet out from under me the way they used to when I was younger. Nobody's looking to hurt anybody. Everybody's looking for a way to play this game, but to play it safely. So yeah, we have 2 first bases, so you don't run into the first baseman. We have 2 home plates. It is actually, we have a rule that you're not allowed to have a tag play at home plate because we want to avoid collisions. So there's a home plate here and a home plate here, and the catcher has to just step on home plate. It's a force play, and the runner has to go to the outside base. There's a pitching screen available to
A
protect.
couple pictures of that coming up
Okay.
here.
Available to protect our pitchers. Most of the divisions use a pitching screen. The higher tiered divisions, it's more of an option, but that would also involve younger younger pitchers with a little bit better reflexes. But we take care of each other.
A really good example, both Steve and I are middle infielders by trade. And second base, I think probably in Major League Baseball and in senior softball, is the most dangerous spot on the field in terms of collisions. But we're ingrained that any play at second base, we're obviously going to be out. We're expected to veer into right center field to avoid any collision. And player after player does that. It's heartwarming for a second baseman to see them not coming into me.
Well, I think the safety thing is, I know I've heard this story endlessly, and it came across to me too when I first told my wife I was going to play softball. She said, "You're going to do what? You get hurt fixing a screen door." I mean, and I was just amazed by all of what was done to keep this as safe as could be, and at the same time be aggressive and competitive. But having the picture with the mask here is an example of required,
One
yeah.
must wear a mask to pitch. And some infielders wear a mask.
Even before COVID.
Yeah, right. No, I mean.
I know.
Some third basemen do.
And then having umpires in the games makes such a difference too. And our umpires are paid, so they get to.
I think you hit something important a few minutes ago, that when I tell people that I'm playing softball at my age, and I'm doing it so much, they kind of snicker, like, yeah, sure, Steve. And on occasion, a few of them have come to watch, or some of my relatives, my niece in particular came to watch a game one day, and they're very surprised by I mean, all of the people playing this game love the game, know the game. I mean, if you've been playing it for as long as we've been playing it, you understand how it works,
and yet
you understand how to have fun doing it. So you know, this league sort of, the value structure, we are community, sportsmanship, competition, in that order.
Right.
And I've got good buddies that I play ball with now, and I know that, you know, this year I might be on his team, but next year I'll be across the field from him. So having a good relationship with him, it matters, and it's continuous, it's ongoing. The sportsmanship piece, you know, the one of the watchwords of the Pacific Division, whenever there's we're not sure, you know, or there's a close play, or there's an argument about something or whatever, which happens in all sports, the arguments always end with, yeah, but everybody makes the playoffs. And it's true. You know, the sportsmanship element comes into play in that we all know that we're going to walk off this field as friends, and we're going to continue to compete this way. So the game matters. We keep score. We want to win, and it certainly feels better to win a game than it does to lose a game. But it's a whole lot more fun to play in a close game, a competitive game, than it is to play in a blowout. So as coordinators, one of our jobs is to, actually I think it's probably our most important job, is to make sure that the teams are competitively balanced. And there's all kinds of, you know, wheeling and dealing and complaining about that, but we make it so that we have the expectation that every game is going to be close, and they usually are.
I think one of the things that I like about senior softball, we play each other so frequently that all of our batting tendencies and running tendencies are well known to everybody. So a player will come up and you'll hear somebody say, "Move in, outfield, come on in," or
Punch the middle.
or whatever. Yeah. But I do know, I've seen on several occasions where outfielders will be called in, and the guy who theoretically is a weak hitter will whack a ball over their heads. And generally speaking, the guys are happy for him and congratulate him and laugh and say, "You really got us on that one." It's not anger, it's just real kind of a shared joy, which makes it a lot of fun. It really does. I always laugh when they do it. Say, "Whoops."
Well, one of the reasons I know you guys wanted to come on here was to promote this a little bit, because believe it or not, despite the fact that we have, 400 or 500 players, we want more, right? Isn't that the...
Absolutely.
So why don't we talk a little bit about what's involved in joining? We have a website, I know, and...
Okay. I was going to say, that all you need to know to join EMASS softball, if you're interested, is to go to that website, e-mass.org. And one of the tabs on the home page says registration. Registration for EMASS will open on February 22nd. It will continue through the middle of March. If you're a new player, we can extend that a little bit, but essentially we will have registration end of February, most of March. Teams will be formed at the beginning of April. And we will be out on the field as soon as the snows melt and the towns say we can play. The 6 divisions, I know we kind of mentioned them very briefly, and I don't expect that anybody who was watching this really followed all of that, but there's a whole lot of depth and detail about each division on the website, and there is contact information for the commissioner and for the coordinators of each of the divisions. And people are, certainly encouraged to reach out to any of us, and we'll help you. If it sounds like you belong in one division and not the one you're talking to, we'll steer you in that direction. We also, I should mention this, we have planned a new player showcase for March 29th. There'll be more information about that on the website. So anyone who signs up for EMASS who hasn't played before, we want to get just a little bit of a sense of what kind of a player you are, what position you play, what skills you'll bring to a team before we place you on a team, because as I mentioned before, it's so incredibly important that we maintain competitive balance.
Anything to add to that, Don?
Not particularly, no. The only, I found that the website is relatively easy to traverse. Registration is very obvious. Finding out division information is a little trickier. There's a heading for divisions, and then it's very easy for your eye to skip down and see national, colonial, metro, what have you. But the first line is information for all divisions, and that's the one that explains what each division is about.
I remember the tryouts when I joined mid-year a number of years ago, and I came down and they made me have a little tryout, and people asked me about it. I said, well, you know, as a big guy, I guess they weren't sure whether I was David Ortiz or David Letterman, you know, and I was, but you know, they kind of properly placed me, and I've been impressed with that every year.
We should mention cost. Here's the reality: there's a $25 administrative fee that everybody pays. So to join the league, it costs you $25. Then each division, the registration fee for each division is $150 each. So if you want to play in 2 divisions, you're paying $300 plus the $25 registration fee. And people play in 2, people play in 3. There's one guy who plays in 4 divisions. Enough said. The money shouldn't be the deciding factor. If it's an issue, we have the ability to help out a little bit.
In terms of special equipment, everybody, you really don't even need a bat. I mean, this bat that is my sample here. Cost me a couple $100, but people share bats, and you know you
should have your own glove.
You have your own glove, which there's my glove that I bought at Walmart very inexpensively about 8 years ago.
You'll also find that because of the fact that, you know, sometimes the fields are a little damp, or sometimes there's some issues with the ground, it really makes sense to have a pair of cleats, not metal, rubber spikes, or I wear what are called turf shoes. They have little not big cleats, little cleats, and it helps with traction. But a glove is really the only thing you have to have. A bat's a nice thing to have, but as you suggest, we can share bats easily. And all the other equipment is provided. You get, when you sign up, you get shirts, you get a hat, and you get friends.
Yeah.
Provide your own shorts.
Provide your own shorts, and compression shorts really help control getting leg injuries. New players always worry that they're going to pull a hamstring the first year.
They do.
And they do. That's what I tell people. I have a lawyer friend who's interested in playing this year, and I said, well, you're a lawyer, so I can't lie to you. So.
Start stretching. Yeah.
But
no, it's true. One of the problems we run into, and we try to head it off as best we can, is that at the beginning of the season, so many new players hit a ground ball to short and think, well, you know, I got to turn on the jets to beat it out. And the first step out of the batter's box, you feel that, like, in the back of your thigh, and you know that your hamstring is shot, and then you're out for a couple of weeks. So stretching is hugely important. Conditioning matters. We're not talking about, you know, the weightlifting, bodybuilding concept here. We're talking about just staying limber and in reasonably good shape to be able to run.
I mean, the name of the game is respect. All of us want everybody else that's either playing with us or playing against us to respect us. And I think for a new guy, they are very, very aware of that, and they try very hard to impress us initially, even though I know Steve does, and I know I do, many other authorities do, managers and division coordinators. We say, take it easy, it's a long season. But none of them listens as far as I can see. And within a couple of weeks, they're limping around, and then they get better, and then they become a little wiser.
Well, that is the thing. I think it's very easy to feel like I don't belong here, or I'm too good for it. I think some people look either way and say, I don't want to play with a bunch of old men. On the other hand, others say, I haven't played in 40 years, I don't belong out there. And yet somehow or other, the thing that impressed me is both types fit after about 10 minutes.
Yep, they get there.
There's also a couple of things that I wanted to point out here that the league has a couple of special events that aren't officially part of the league. I know some of you are playing softball in the winter over in Marlborough and Shrewsbury and things like that. We also have a great connection with Cuba. that I'm not sure still exists, but
does.
Oh,
but we
sure
have a
does,
great
sure.
picture here. I happen to be a part of that effort with my son. Even we had some Hornfischer to Hornfischer plays from third to first, but and that's a photo of when we were all singing. We were all singing the national anthem, and then they played the Cuban national anthem, and we even got the. They even had the Cubans singing "Stars and Stripes," I think, or something like that. It was an impressive ceremony. But up and back of a new book has just come out this year by Rob Mitchell. We have a picture of the cover of that coming up here about his experiences in senior softball, and it's a terrific book. It's available on Amazon, and if you have any doubts, pick this up for about $15. It's a terrific summary of, and he talks a lot about about what it takes to about the comradeship and the cohesiveness of the teams and the way that builds, and I'm sure you've all experienced that.
Absolutely.
We talked a lot about that today. So we're kind of running low on our time here, but why don't you both talk about one particular memory that you may have had when you got a winning hit, or you helped somebody, or you or some kind of a story that kind of remains with you.
I'll start while he's
Yeah.
thinking. 8 years, I managed for quite a few years in the Atlantic and a couple of years in the Metro League. But in 2014, I had a very good Atlantic team. The commissioner who formed it was, in fact, Rob Mitchell, the author of that book. And we had a terrific year. And it was so much fun winning that last game and winning the championship. It felt like I was 11 years old again. Jumping all around, throwing our gloves up in the air. None of us wanted to leave the field. Here we were, a bunch of old guys.
Yeah.
But you never lose that youthful joy of winning. It's really true.
Steve? You had too many.
Well, I'm processing as this conversation is taking place. I have to say that I could not separate any one of 15 or 20 moments on the softball field, a diving catch or a nice hit or a teammate doing something really special. But when you ask me, to share what's the best part or the best thing, it's like going out to lunch with teammates after a game, or hanging out with guys from both teams, replaying parts of the game and chit-chatting about it. It's about the community and what we share in our love of softball.
Well, I think that's a great way to wrap this on. We've got a little brief video coming here as we literally fly out of here of a little action scene that gives us, I think, a pretty good indication of the quality and energy of the game. We got a batter here hitting a ball now in the deep right center. It looks like it's gone, but no, it's caught way out there. And a strong throw to second base, and everybody's safe, and I think that's what the league wants to be, to keep everybody safe and get out and play and be in the game. So Don, Steve, thank you so much for coming. You made
Thank you,
great
Dave.
representatives of the league, and I look forward to seeing both of you guys out there playing this summer. And all you sports fans out there in TV land, check out that website. I'm telling you, this is one of those shows that I do in which I'm personally involved in, so I can say this is a lot of fun. It's one of the best things I ever signed up for, and you will too. And come back and watch us on Fan to Fan. We're on Access Framingham TV Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 8:30, and Saturday morning at 7:30. And we put some of the shows up on YouTube. So get in the game, guys. You'll be glad you did. And yeah.